So Maddo, it's been a couple weeks since Pipe Dream dropped, and I know it was hectic beforehand, but man, you must have been busy ever since, yeah, with all the media.
Yeah, dude, it's been crazy. Like the week of Pipe Dream when it released, I crashed my BMX bike at home, hit my head, had a seizure, and then Amy called the ambulance, and the ambulance came. I had 3 more seizures. Got to hospital, I wasn't responding, and so they put me on life support for like 3 days, and then I came out of that, and literally 2 days later went to the premiere of Pipe Dream, and was just obviously in the biggest media storm I've pretty much ever had. And I was definitely not on point. Like, I was struggling to talk, I was struggling to find words, and just rolled with the punches, did a bunch of media, and just tried to keep my answers short. And yeah, even now, still kind of like, still mindful that I've had a head injury. It's kind of, they all kind of add up, and still feel them.
Yeah. Have you lost anything? Like, do you remember being in Tahiti and all that, or?
Yeah, I remember being in Tahiti and all that kind of stuff. I think just things around the week of are lost, and then I don't know if it's just normal, but I just forget everyone's names.
Oh,
maybe there's met too many people, I don't know, but hopeless with names.
Right on.
Blame it on the head injuries though.
Yeah, definitely. So it was 3 years in the making. The video finally comes out. Was it everything that you wanted it to be, or did it meet your vision?
Yeah, I think Pipe Dream definitely met my vision. Like, it's been obviously 3 years in the making, and 3 pretty frustrating years because we had it working at the start, and it's gone back and forth, and I just really stayed so adamant on the fact of how I wanted to get it to perform and turn and handle like awesomely, and I just never was able to get it to where I wanted it to get it to, so I was frustrated on that part. But all in all, like, the response from the film I'm overwhelmed with, and super stoked, and just like moving forwards now, I'm hoping that I can kind of, I don't know whether it's just have more respect or just people pay more attention or have a bit more faith, but I'm just trying to, like, I'm going to still continue to do this kind of stuff. It'd just be nice to not have to beg, and you know, for people to just kind of stick with it. It'd be I don't know, it was definitely hard to try and talk to people about getting help and support with like the water bike. Like, I'd go talk to engineers about it, and they're just like, your idea's a little bit off, man. Like, and so you just couldn't get people to kind of like buddy up with you or have faith in it. So now that Pipe Dream's out, like, conversations with engineers and aerodynamic people and all that kind of stuff is definitely easier. So hopefully the release helps me in my journey ahead, trying to launch these crazy ideas.
So all the crazy shit you've done is always blowing all the motorcycle people away, but this has gone mainstream. I mean, was it kind of trippy to see yourself like on CNN and, you know, these morning talk shows and stuff?
Yeah, it has been weird. I mean, I didn't really watch TV too much. I heard off a lot of people that it was getting shown everywhere, but I guess due to the head injury and how much I was on the phone and just in contact with people every day around, you know, doing media around it, when I'd get home, I wasn't watching TV or nothing. It was just kind of like having my downtime, so I didn't see much of it, but you know, I definitely saw a lot of it, saw the repercussions from it, and a lot of people told me. So at the end of the day, it's just a success for me. I mean, that's my job, is to get exposure for my brands, and I'm just pumped that we hit this one out of the ballpark. It's that's a job well done for me.
Yeah. Okay, so the other night I watched it again, and I think it was at 17 million views, and I know that it went over 4 the first day, so I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, how quickly it climbed and how quickly people shared it was definitely something that was pretty insane. And I guess it kind of set benchmarks a little bit. Like, it's weird when your name's trending on Facebook over Barack Obama and the war that's going on. You know, it was like the #1 trending thing on Facebook was my name for like a week, which is insane. And I guess it had 1.29 million shares, which was the top shared video for the week. And yeah, so move over all those internet sensations coming through.
So, man, when we were in Tahiti, It's hot. There's bugs everywhere.
Did you get any rashes or anything?
In Tahiti?
Yeah.
Oh, I came home with 92 bites. But, I mean, it's funny
You got
because
good skin though. I'd bite you if I was a mosquito as well.
isn't it funny though how you reflect on something afterwards and it seems so much like more amazing and cool than you thought it was at the time? Like I was kind of miserable when I was there.
Yeah.
But dude, looking back now, it was so awesome.
Yeah, totally, man. Like, it's funny because everyone was pretty miserable, especially out of my camp. Like, me and my mechanic went there. I definitely was like sucking it up, try and put on a happy-go-lucky face for all the film crew that was joining us from DC, because we'd just been like, we weren't that pumped, you know. Like, we'd been through 2 years of testing, a lot of back and forth and arguments and quitting and then, you know, letting this thing go and then rekindling it and all that kind of stuff. And so when we got there, I think Buddy and I were just at our wits' ends, you know. Like, we were ready to I know Buddy was over it, and you know, I was just like, oh, this is a home stretch, we got to pull it. But yeah, to see it come out now, it's overwhelming to see how cool it was, because I've said in like a couple of interviews, like, I got desensitized to the vision of it, you know. Like, I'd watched it for so long on content that like Jay Schweitzer had shot, and you know, John Sanders and a bunch of guys who'd come down and film with me. And I remember the first time watching it and I was like, oh, this is so awesome, and some of the angles just look so sick. But now it'd been a couple of years, I was over it. Yeah. But I turned it on the other day and watched it again and actually just appreciate it, because I'm very proud of it. And yeah, it's pretty crazy to like, I can't even imagine what people who haven't been around it. I've got a different take on it because I'm so invested into it, but it must seem weird for people who weren't expecting it.
Yeah. So all the ups and downs in Tahiti itself, what was the most frustrating down? Was it when Buddy forgot to turn the gas on?
That was funny, yeah. I went out in the water, and one of the reasons we sunk the bike is because my mechanic forgot to turn the gas on. The most frustrating thing in Tahiti, let me try and get my brain to have some memory. It was definitely the sinkings of the bike. You know, there was so many, and there was ones that would be like late in the day when we knew that we'd already committed to starting early the final day, and we're like, all right, we're going to do 2 more runs, and then we'll shut it down, and we'll have a nice early night and dinner and relax, good sleep, and then the last run I'd sink the bike, and it just creates 4 hours work like that. Off, you know, it's like, they were the frustrating ones, and just they were happening day after day where we hadn't slept much, and we'd be up till 3, 4 a.m. the night before, running on 4 or 5 hours sleep, and just pounding Red Bulls like they were going out of style.
Yeah.
But
dude, in that one portrait that you posted on your Instagram that said, "I'm not trying to look tough, I'm shitting my pants at all what I'm about to do," you look so sleepy in that photo.
Yeah.
Like, the whole time pretty much you were running on no sleep.
Yeah, we ran on no sleep for a long time, and not really much food either. You know, we were down to that headquarters area, and there'd be times where you'd work and you'd be like, oh, it's 3 in the afternoon. You know, everyone had such a great work ethic that no one was like making excuses. Everyone was like super motivated and into it. So they're the days that go quick.
Yeah.
You know, when everyone's motivated and into something, I think it just goes quick. But yeah, there was, you know, we're eating the figs or those berries that were growing above us, and just, it was cool to kind of live the Tahitian lifestyle. Almost said Hawaiian then, but live the Tahitian lifestyle, and just, you know, eating coconuts and making coconut milk and stuff like that. It was some of the best times I've had.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's pretty cool is, like, I guess to Cruzy, it's all normal.
Yeah.
But think about the things that kid has experienced in his life and the places he's been already.
It's insane. Cruz has no idea. I try to remind him all the time of how lucky he is, and he still doesn't seem to quite get it. But just like, you know, we were on the plane the other day and we sat in economy, and he sits in there and he goes, "These seats are too small." I'm like, dude, you're 4 years old. For the first 3 years of his life, he'd only flown business, which he didn't come on a lot of flights with me because a lot of time I'm not there. But when the family flies, the boss makes sure they go in comfort, and that boss ain't me. But yeah, it's funny, like the other day I showed him some content of kids living in Rwanda and stuff like that, you know, just showing how they live in poverty and they struggle. And you know, he's watching like YouTube all day of Play-Doh films and toy reviews and BMX videos and off-road trucks, and I'm like, dude, check this out. And so I just wrapped his head around that for a minute just to kind of let him realize. And so now when he complains about not having his iPad charged or not being, saying it's not fair because Jagger gets the toy that he wants, and I remind him of the little kids that live in the dirt, and then he's like, he knows, he figures it out now. So just trying to push that on him, let him realize the situation he's in. But yeah, like you say, he has no idea. We're up there, he thinks it's normal to have a cook, you know. He says at home, he's like, Dad, I want a cooker at home. So me too, mate, but life's not just like that. You just appreciate it when it comes to you.
Man,
someone's on the loose because we got this cop helicopter circling us.
Get over, maybe they're looking for you.
I'm not the one running no number plates in my car with tinted windows that are too dark.
Hey, so one of the biggest things that all my friends that see the video freak out about is like when you would sink the bike or in the waves or whatnot. How gnarly was it being in full gear? I mean, I know you had a life vest on underneath your jersey, but the boots have to get heavy, and was it suffocating being in a helmet underwater?
It wasn't really suffocating being in a helmet underwater because I am used to having a helmet on. Like to a guy, like to BMX guys, they hate having like full face. They feel like they're being consumed or something. But yeah, to me, honestly, it wasn't as bad as having nothing on. Like to a certain extent. Like you had more drag, so when the wave hit you, you got thrown further and pushed harder than you would with like, if you say you're surfing, you just had board shorts, you know, your skin's smooth. Well, yours is a lot smoother than mine, but but you just, you know, when you're surfing in board shorts, you know, you haven't got the flotation, so you kind of get held down longer, but you don't get thrown around as much. When I was in the boots and all that, I just got thrown around so much more violently down under the water, but at the same time, the flotation I had kind of rose me up more, and that people think the helmet was like a bad thing to have, but it was such a lifeline. It was so much flotation in the helmet that it was helped me out a lot.
Yeah, the helmet's foam.
Yeah, the helmet was insane. I mean, it was, without the helmet, I would have been in a way worse situation. And then the boots were good at the start until they got waterlogged and air in them, and then the boots just became a lead weight. So it depended how long I was in the water for. If I was in there for like, if I was pretty much dry and went in the water, I'd somewhat float and be way better situation. But then on the big wave at the end, at the start it wasn't too bad, but by the end I was like barely surfacing again. Like even with the floaty helmet and flotation in the jacket, the boots and the gear and all that was just so waterlogged that, and like I said before, the garments like are loose, so the currents in the water just drags you more. You like kind of like a sail. Mm-hmm. So there's pros and cons to it. I definitely would say having the gear on was probably better than not having it on though.
Yeah, especially in the Reef, huh?
Yeah, 100% the Reef. And I mean, next time I do it, I probably wear, I had the life jacket on, so I kind of like got rid of the body armor, but I went to a stage where I didn't wear body armor because it's whatever, it's cooler on the bike and it looks better than having big bulky thing under your jersey, and it's better visibility. But I mean, I've gone back to wearing it under my jersey just because of the amount of crashes I've had and how much better situation I'd be had I had that extra layer of protection. And going to the water, the last time I went, I copped either the handlebars or the foot peg in my back. And I remember you saw it, like when we went and ate, I had this huge lump on my back. It was like, could have been a lot worse. So I'd probably consider wearing a chest protector next time I go in the water, just because you got 300-pound, once the skis and all the stuff on it, it's all close to a 300-pound motorcycle. Yeah. If that thing gets sucked up around to like a 12, 13-foot wave and then drops onto you, easily
people think, oh man, it's water, it doesn't hurt. Yeah. You know, that's the most ignorant thing you can do.
No, it's water. It may not hurt in some situations, but it's scarier than anything. Probably one of the most scariest, frightening situations I've ever been in with that, you know, however big that wave was, because it's just something you never experienced, and then just the bike getting thrown around just added a whole new variabilities that variables that you just out of your control.
So that last wave at Papara, and you look back, saw it coming, you knew you weren't supposed to shift into fifth, but you did it anyway, just because you had to try something. But what was going through your head, and what was going through your head while you're underwater?
Well, I was pretty annoyed, to be honest. To tell you the truth, because screw it, everyone wants to hear the truth, but I was pretty annoyed sitting out there on the boat because for whatever reason, I mean, it might have just been by accident, but Raymana had been out there on the boat with me the whole time, helping me pick out which waves wasn't on the boat. And I just felt that that was due to like some circumstances that happened earlier in the week. And so here I am out on the boat by myself with some guy who doesn't know the swell, who wasn't giving me any feedback on like reading the ocean. And so I was like, I was within my right, or I had the opportunity to like just kind of stop the production and demand Raymana came out and gave me a hand. But I was like, you know what? I'm a type of person that just feels that every situation happens for a reason. And so I just tried to go with the flow. And so I was like, all right, I'll just go with the flow and I'll just read the wave myself. And then the waves were firing like crazy. And then there was a thunderstorm. We had to wait for it to clear just so we had the clear sky, and as soon as the sky cleared, the waves went away. So I literally sat there for about 40 minutes waiting for a wave to come.
On top of the barge.
Top of the barge. We were wet from the storm. We had salt on us. We'd already been out there 3 weeks, whatever. We're over it. We're about to fly home in like literally 5 hours, and I'm sitting and I was just over it. You know, the bike's running like a turd because it's just full of salt water. Everything's rattling and just sounded bad. It's all rich and lean at the same time. You know, just ruined. And it's like, yeah, I just feel like that sense of exposure was just the sun's playing on you. And next minute, like there's literally the waves that were coming through before weren't coming. And then next minute I just see this huge dark patch on the horizon. I was like, is that a wave? And as it come, I'm like, oh, that's a wave. And without even thinking about it, I just went, I'm going to get that. Even though Raymana had already told me, be careful of the waves that have a hook on them because they're the West bombs. It didn't even cross my mind until I was on it. And then you asked how I felt. I just thought like, it was the most sickening feeling I've ever had. Because I knew on that day that I couldn't get hit by a wave. Because I'd already seen how ferocious they were. And in my mind, I was like, as long as I make this and don't get hit by the wave, like I wasn't even considering what would happen if I didn't. There wasn't a question in my mind, I wasn't not making it. I'd read the waves, I knew that if I just stayed on this line, I wasn't gonna get hit. But I didn't take into account if I took a west bomb. And when the rain was happening, not one west bomb came through. They were just firing those good waves and they're all in the right direction. Once the swell died off, you know, this rogue wave came and I found myself on it. And when it was peeling over, I just felt like this sickening feeling, like my stomach just dropped and I knew I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I just thought to myself, like, I was literally like fearfully scared, freaking out. And I'd already proved that 4th gear wide was the best gear for the bike. 5th gear just wasn't, it didn't have really kind of the aggressiveness it needed to kind of stay on plane and keep the revs up. And although I was in 4th gear and this wave's curling out, there was nothing I could do, and all I did was just like click 5th gear and just it was like, just like revs died and this wave just engulfed me and just took me down. And literally as it broke behind, I straightened out to try and get away from it and make it dissipate as much as it could. I was trying to ride away as long as I could so it kind of like get softer, and literally it hit, bounced over my head, come out of the spray, and then it just tackled me and I was gone. And then that was like, literally when I was down, it was so violent that I've had car accidents before where I've rolled cars, and it was that times 100. It was so far. It was like being inside a hydraulic ram. I guess like water is so powerful. And it was just like I went 20 feet left, 20 feet right, up, down, like just going 20 feet in every direction at this every split second. It was like, as every second clicked, I was going like the different ways, and I was like a rag doll under there. It was so intense, I just gave up. I just literally thought like, this is so overwhelming, this has got to be the end. And just kind of like I just went calm. I literally just gave in. I was like, oh, I'm done, dead. I just gave in, and then next minute I popped up and I was like so surprised. I took a breath of air, and as I took a breath of air, I opened my eyes and there's water obviously all through my face. Goggles had been ripped off, And as the water kind of cleared through my eyelashes, I just saw the next wave just went boom, and then I like literally feet over my head and had a new breath, so I was kind of like pretty happy and held that, popped up again, and I knew I'd be alright from that point. But at the start it was heavy, and then it just got like a marathon, because after the second wave hit me, I came up and I'm waving the jet ski guys, I could see them and they just weren't coming towards me. I'm thinking, are they just trying to teach me a lesson? But I think, you know, I just went in the first wave of the set, and there was like 5-6 waves before, and they just couldn't get to me. And that water is so aerated, you know, even the jet ski comes in there, it just starts cavitating, it doesn't move. So they literally were kind of stuck. They could see me, they just couldn't get to me for a minute. So yeah, man, it was something that I'm like literally like trying to keep in mind, because although I'm going to, I don't want to put myself in that situation too many more times. It's too much, and the risks with the bike. You know, if I was to fall differently and get sucked around and go over the falls, like, you know, I don't want to consider it. But if the bike was to hit you and over a reef somewhere like Chopu, like easily could kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, surfers die there every year, so yeah, it's playing with fire out there on the dirt bike for sure. But although it's like dangerous and all that, this was a dream of mine, and the dream wasn't to go really ride the gnarliest wave I could, but I just thought, hey, if I'm going to ride my bike on water, the only way to really kind of set it off and hit the home run is to give the people what they want. They want to see gnarly stuff this day and age, so went for it. But you know, I'm surfer background, and if I was going to catch a wave, it's got to be a big wave, because small waves is just like, there's always, it's like doing jumps and doing flips. It's like you do one backflip, someone wants to see a double. You do a double, someone wants to see a triple. It's like if you do a 15-foot waves, they're going to want to see 20, and you do 20, that no one's ever satisfied. So I'm used to that.
Yeah. So you said it was heavy, and you thought that was it. I mean, would you say that's the closest to the end that you've come? You've done a lot of gnarly shit.
I wouldn't say it's the closest to the end I've ever come. I just say it's the closest to the end I've come and stayed like kind of conscious, yeah.
Dude, what goes through your head? I mean, you're thinking about your kids, your wife, you're thinking about your water bill, or you know.
What goes through my head when in that situation?
When you're underwater, just tell me.
Nothing really goes through my head when I'm underwater, because I've already dealt with all the thoughts of it, you know. Like I go to Tahiti fully mindful that I might die, you know. I've been through all those thoughts. Like I'm not one of those people that lives subconsciously. I live full consciously. Like I'm awake, you know. And it's painful at times because you're so awake of like the bullshit, but it's good to be in that state of mind, because you don't get caught up in your fantasies, you know. And I used to be like that, but certain things have brought me out of it. But it's easy to lapse back into it. But yeah, I mean, I think doing the Corinth Canal and jumping the Arc de Triomphe in Las Vegas, and definitely going to Tahiti, and all the jumps I've done, it's made me mentally kind of be aware of what I've got and be aware that I'm risking all of that. I mean, everyone that rides dirt bikes is in the same situation at the end of the day, you know. It doesn't matter if you're trail riding or just going to work or on the street or like line up for a 450 national. I'd never do that. It's freaking crazy. But it's but yeah, it's like you're putting everything on the line every time you get on a bike, but it's life, right? You gotta risk life to get the most out of it. If you're not risking things, then you're not living life to the fullest.
So the bike, when the last wave happened, you didn't hit the handle, so the bike was gone for a bit, but because of all the Sony cams you had on it, you knew what the bike was doing the whole time, right?
Pretty much. We lost, I think, 2 Sony cams from the last accident. But yeah, man, I couldn't pull the handle. I just could see that wave coming, and I just couldn't get myself to let go of the grip and pull that lever. I literally rode it to the death. You know, I honestly, it's hard for me to go back and experience it because it's all in that moment, and after it was over, I just let it go out of my being, because I didn't want to hold on to the the memory and the thoughts that were involved in that. But like, I literally thought it was all over, and that rattles you when that happens. Like, after, and I made it back to land and all that, it was like amazing to hug my wife and to hug my kids and just be like, oh, I don't want to risk that again. But you know, I don't want to just keep doing crazy risks for reasons that aren't passionate to me. But I'm all about, like, if I'm passionate about something and it requires like going that next level, or you know, believing in it to a certain extent where you have to take risks, then it's how much do you believe in it, you know? And it's like, if you're not willing to risk it, then you don't really believe in it that much. So I don't know, but yeah, it's like the scariest thing ever. I mean, the thought I had was just knowing that you're like dressed wrong, you're on the wrong thing, and you got a massive wave that you've never been in front of anything like that before, and not knowing what's about to happen was just like a totally gut-wrenching, like overwhelming feeling. I can't really put words to it. I wanted to scream.